High-Tech Heretic. Introduction. High-Tech Heretic is written by Clifford Stoll, and it's pretty much a reflection by a computer contrarian. And he discusses why computers really don't belong in the classroom, and makes it a point to point out their emphasis on their use and need in the education world. Stoll's first book, which was The Cuckoo's Egg, is actually a pretty cool story about how he brought down a group of computer hackers. So he seems to know quite a bit about computers and technology. And he also wrote a book called Snake Oil. And there he reiterates many of the key points that he made in his second book, which really sheds light on the widespread of computers in preschools, classrooms, and even libraries. So he really does make some great points, but the points that he makes are a little dated, so they don't really fit with today's narrative. The summary. So Stoll's main argument is that computers really aren't needed in order to receive a good education, and that even schools who are considered bad won't necessarily benefit from them. But he does make a point to stress that if a teacher is good at what they do, then they can be great without them. He doesn't want computers to be looked at as more of an entertainment use and not really as a learning tool, which then takes away from the whole idea of using computers for educational purposes. So he feels as though kids will want to use them for more games and, downtime versus actually using them to benefit from. Analysis. So Stoll makes a great point that computers can actually hold children back. He kind of makes it seem as though computers will make children lazy, to have things like calculators that actually do the work for you, and you actually don't really have to put any work in. You just have to know how to use it, and you can get the answer that way, instead of actually having to sit and really think about what it is that they're asking and figure it out on your own. I do agree with him that teacher and student interaction is extremely important. I've been in a classroom setting for quite some time, and I personally see how important this is. So I support that fact as well. And, sometimes if you're just throwing a kid over to a computer, there's not really much interaction needed at that point. I also agree that the cost of funding something like a computer lab is really expensive, which then takes away from other school necessities, like more school activities or projects or other learning tools that schools need aside from computers in order to have academic success. Evaluation. So at the end of all this, Stoll's argument doesn't really hold much weight. He definitely makes some great points, but the points that he's arguing would be more beneficial had this been in earlier years. But in today's society, times are changing, the world is evolving. So in order to keep up, we have to be able to evolve with them. Now, using computers is a necessity in order to apply for certain jobs and things like that. So if we're not teaching the children this at an early age, then they're going to have a hard time. Conclusion. So I personally think this book needs a more updated version. I would like to know what his views and thoughts are as of now. he is correct that computers can easily do more harm than good. But if you have a teacher who is actually passionate about what they're doing and loves what they are doing, then computers can actually enhance a classroom environment instead of making it a negative situation. Stoll seems to know an awful lot about technology himself, but it doesn't really seem as though he has much insight on the education side of all of this. So perhaps if he knew a little bit more about the education side, his thoughts would change. And that's where I stand. But I definitely thought this was an interesting book. I respect his views and understand them. I just definitely think that they're a little dated. Thank you for watching.